And what is up, everybody? This is me, Darren. As you can see, I am wearing Marine Corps digital camouflage. I've made mention of the fact that I am a combat veteran. That's because I am a United States Marine. I was an ordnance technician for F-18s with the greatest F-18 squadron in naval aviation, VMFA 323 Death Rattlers. That's right. I worked on the weapon systems of the jet. Anything that went boom, that was my job. The reason why I'm posting this like this and I'm making mention of all this stuff is because today is the 10th of November. And for those of you who don't know, that is the Marine Corps birthday. So November 10th, 1775, back in Tun Tavern in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that was the birthplace of the United States Marine Corps. This is something that is instilled with us and drilled into us literally by our drill instructors in Paris Island, or where the other Marines are made in MCRD San Diego. So reason why I'm bringing this up, well, like I said, I'm just reflecting on my time in. Just thinking back to my first Marine Corps birthday ball, and when that was my first year in. Okay, I got into a boot camp December of '02. So this is November of '03, and I had literally accomplished nothing. The only thing I had done, like, I graduated boot camp, I graduated combat training, I graduated from A school, then C school, and now I'm in the fleet. I've gone nowhere. I was stationed in 3rd Marine Air Wing in Miramar in San Diego, and I had accomplished absolutely nothing. I'm just here at this formal ball, and seeing all these a couple of junior Marines like myself, and all these senior Marines with all these medals and everything. Glancing back at the prosperous previous deployment, or some of these guys were on their way out, out of the Marine Corps altogether, or re-enlisting. And I had no knowledge. I had nothing to offer them. And but it was all in all, it was a pretty okay night. Then comes the second Marine Corps birthday ball, which it wasn't really a ball, it was a mess night, because we were doing a workup, the last boat workup in Naval Air Station Fallon, Nevada. There, I wasn't happy. I had just finished coming back from Al-Assad. I had to do perimeter security because every Marine's a rifleman. Even though as an ordnance technician, it doesn't necessarily matter. Like I said, every Marine's a rifleman. It doesn't matter what branch of service you are. You could be an administrative clerk, and all of a sudden, a firefight breaks out. You're not going to be like, oh, but I'm not a fighter. I'm not infantry. It's like, no, you pick up your gun, you start shooting back. It only makes sense to do something like that. No excuses. So when they asked us to do perimeter security, first off, they asked for volunteers. To this day, I don't know why I raised my hand. I just finished surviving getting shot at by rockets and RPGs, and Geraldo Rivera giving away our position. That's right. When Geraldo Rivera gave away the position and he got kicked out of the country, that was us. That was us that he almost got killed. And our CO and the first sergeant, basically, these are two men who've never been in infantry, don't know anything about infantry, and yet they're gonna try to be the hard chargers, try to prove that, oh yeah, they got what it takes, when they absolutely didn't. The best way to describe that is Major Powers in Heartbreak Ridge, the movie with Clint Eastwood. If you watch that movie, watch that idiot CO that they had for that company, and you'll have a 1/10 of an idea of what I had to deal with out there, and me and everybody else. Finally, when I got home, I forgot my job. I hadn't been in the job. I hadn't been doing it long enough to really retain anything. Um, there's more new guys to help pick up the slack, but most of the guys who had gotten there at the same time I did, they were all promoted. They knew the job better than I did, and I had just as much time as they did, if maybe a little bit less. But all of a sudden, I'm back to square one, and now I just finished coming home, and I got to get ready to leave again on another deployment. No, it's not fair, but nobody joined the military, to be fair. Nobody, at least nobody expects it to. My third Marine Corps ball, that was again a fun night, but to reflect back on everything that had happened prior to that, two of my pilots had died. My XO and my he was the officer in charge of power line. They were the first two pilots in the entire squadron that I befriended. They commissioned officers at least in my line of work are smart enough to understand that their success is riding on the junior Marines. If you piss off the junior Marines, they're gonna make sure you don't get what you need. These guys need to fly. They need to be able to fly. They need to be able to put in the hours. They need working equipment, otherwise they're dead. So they make it a point to make sure that they treat us properly. Now, granted, we did have the respect, stand at attention, salute like we're supposed to, and everything like that. But these guys didn't make it a point to shove in their face that their rank insignia is a lot shinier than ours. And I respected these men. I respected all the pilots that I worked with, but especially these two men. And I used to write. Well, I wrote this piece. It's called "Mission Failed." The reason why I called it "Mission Failed" was because the commanding officer, Colonel, I forget his name, was for Carrier Aircraft Group 11. No, not it was no. I understand. Marine Aircraft Group 11. All right. We were assigned to CAG 9, the Shogun. The Marine Aircraft Group 11 came to us in this little auditorium type deal and was, briefing us on the upcoming deployment, and said if we lose so much as one Marine, if we lose one aircraft, then we failed our mission. We lost 2 Marines. We lost 2 aircrafts. And for years, I would post it up on Memorial Day. And this past Memorial Day, it was reminded, just before, a few days before Memorial Day, it was posted by one of my old pilots. You know him as well. I'm pretty sure he's still a Major Brian Dennis. You've probably seen him on CNN and on the Ellen Show for saving the dog in Iraq. It was a painful reminder that it had been 9 years since their passing. And I found my old Sergeant Major at the time, Sergeant Major Lee. And he, I posted it up again, and I made sure that they got, copies of it as well. And he said, he's like, as much as it hurt to lose them, I refuse to let any of my Marines feel like they failed their mission. Those men died doing what they love to do, and they died for their country. They went out with their boots on. And anybody who's ever worn a uniform similar to this wouldn't want it any other way. My last Marine Corps birthday ball, I was with VMFAT 101. It was a training integrated squadron, so it was Navy and Marine Corps, and it's non-deployable. It was my last 3 months before I went on terminal leave, and uh, my time would have been up. And the squadron was huge, man. I mean, it was. I ran into a sergeant who was with me in Iraq, and he had basically told me, he's like, dude, this is Mickey's Magic Kingdom in comparison to anything you've ever worked at before. He was right. The work was a lot easier. There were so many other people to take up the load. It's like it's like my first couple of days working there. It's like by the time I found the jet, like there were so many jets. Normal squadrons have about maybe 10, 12 jets, per squadron. This squadron had about 50. And as big as the flight line is, you could easily get lost. And when they don't tell you what jet you're supposed to be working on, you're going to be wandering there. You're going to be wandering there for a little bit before you find it. And then when I finally would, I was like, oh, this jet's already loaded. Okay, let's go to the next one. Where's the next one? It was ridiculous. But by this time, we had gotten back. When we got back from Iraq the year before. I mean, from the Carl Vinson. We got back from the Carl Vinson. We get back into get back into the hangar, and then we start getting new guys. And now it's my turn to train these guys, to get these guys ready. And some of them are still in the Marine Corps. A lot of these guys are pretty successful in the Marine Corps, and I had a hand in that because I taught them how to do my job, and they did it a lot better than I did after a while. So it was, like I said, it was time. It was time for me to go, and nobody wanted me to leave. I wasn't the best worker, but unlike everybody else, I did my job. Some people were too busy trying to get promoted so they wouldn't have to work. Me, I didn't care about promotion. Granted, I didn't want to just be a workhorse, but at the same time, I just joined for the college money. So I'm not gonna waste my time worrying about getting promoted. I'm a lance corporal. That's it's somewhat of a respectable rank, because lance corporals, like when from the time that it takes to get to your squadron, you're probably a PFC. And the time it takes you from when you're a PFC to become a lance corporal, if you weren't meritoriously promoted anytime in between that means that you should know your job by now. The backbone of the Marine Corps, whether anybody wants to realize this or not, is lance corporals. Because they're the workhorses. They're the ones that know how to. They're the ones that, with enough experience, and know how to do the job and do it right. At least they should be at this point. And that's basically what I had turned into. All of a sudden, whenever they needed anything done, whether inspections or anything like that, it's like, Garcia, we need you on this jet. All right, let's go. One time, like I was about to go away on leave to help get my stuff ready. They're like, Garcia, like, dude, I check out and leave in 5 minutes. He's like, I know, man, but we got to do this 7-day inspection, and we need somebody who's gonna do it right. That you can't ask for that kind of respect. You can't buy that kind of respect. You can't ask for it and demand it. That's something That's something you have to have earned. And like I said, I wasn't the best worker, but I wasn't a complete idiot. And my old squadron, 323, they missed me. They did. And the short time I had in 101, I was shocked at how much those guys wish I would have stuck around a little longer. And it's like when you can mouth off to a corporal, and this corporal starts chewing you out, and then your entire divisions, NCOs and petty officers start raising hell to this guy, make his life miserable. You can't buy that kind of respect, man. You have to be right. Make sure make sure that you're right. Any junior Marines that are watching this, make sure that you're right before you do anything like that. Because if you're dead wrong, you gotta suffer. You gotta suffer the consequences, like I had to. But when you're right, you take a stand, and regardless of whoever it is that's chewing you out, you know you know you stand for what is right, no matter what. And that the level of excellence that's required from a Marine as opposed to any other branch of service is so much higher. That's why we're the only ones that remember our birthday. That's why we're the only ones that celebrate our birthday. To the Marines that my brothers that are out of the Corps, some of you are doing very well for yourselves, and that's very good on you guys. We look back and remember a lot of the crazy stuff that we had done, and it was obviously good times. We did it in the name of fun. Most importantly, we did our job. Can't ask for anything more than that. And for those of you who are still in the Marine Corps, my brothers that still wear this uniform proudly, keep up the good work. No ifs, ands, or buts. You are America's finest. Regardless of what anybody says, regardless of what politicians may say or how they abuse you or anything like that, regardless of how some people feel about the job that you have to do because they're too chicken to do it themselves. You are the best. You are the greatest. Make no mistake about that. So for however many hundreds of years, the United States Marine Corps has been around and will continue to go. I just want to say I love you all, simplify, and happy birthday.